Welcome to This Week Inside Sim Racing, November 9th edition. I'm Darren Ganji with my good buddy,
Sean Cole.
And This Week Inside Sim Racing is brought to you by iRacing.com, where you can check out the best online competition in the world and the new laser scan version of Mount Panorama at iRacing.com.
And after last week's This Week Inside Sim Racing show, you all commented that you wanted a lot more news, a lot more of the top stories in this show, and we're listening, and therefore we're putting them into this show, starting with...
Our top story is about Assetto Corsa, as a matter of fact, and you guys are going to be able to drive it on Steam. The game will cost €34.99 and allowing you to save 22% off the retail price because you're getting what's called Steam Early Access. And that's going to make the game available as a beta as you're going to try the new content. We're not going to go in depth on any of these top stories because we have them all in depth at our blog. We just wanted to tell you what's going on this week inside Sim Racing, and we've got the link in our description. You can read everything that's going on, the cars that they're going to come out with, the tracks, all that stuff right there. And our next story comes to us from
HPP Simulations, and this is on the hardware side of things, and this is a new company making pedals, and these are some very high-end pedals.
Yeah, no doubt about it. They're going for just under $1,000. But go to hppsimulations.com. They just opened their virtual doors. Again, more on that story at our site with lots of pictures to go along with it. 3-pedal set, 2-pedal set.
And it looked like another hydraulic brake
No, it doesn't
version.
look like it is.
So, I mean, and it looked like it was more than just a simple gas and clutch as well.
Yep. Next story, Forza 5. Forza Motorsport 5. Coming soon, November 22nd. New launch trailer just released. Also, they're talking about post-launch support.
You know, I read your blog on this one, and it seems like they ruffled your feathers a little bit.
Well, and let's talk about, they say rivaling, or nobody rivals their post-support. And I love Forza, and I loved all the iterations of it, but talk about post-support. Let's talk about Gran Turismo 6 that's coming out soon. Talk about hype wars, too, between the two. It's like every other day there's a new video coming out from one of these guys.
Oh, look, we invented a new valve stem cover. It's like, ugh, whatever.
It's not that bad, but yeah, they're definitely hyping the heck out of these two. We're really looking forward to trying both of them out. We're going to have an Xbox One. We're going to have the 458 Italia by Thrustmaster to try out. We'll be getting Gran Turismo 6 for the PlayStation 3. So lots of coverage coming soon on those fronts. Last top story, Project Cars. Did you hear this? Coming to the new consoles.
Yes.
They changed their strategy a little bit. Originally where they were going to try to release at the end of 2013. Now moving to 2014 with support for those.
And with that, it makes sense for them to kind of go to the newer systems as well.
Yep. All of these stories and more at our new site. We got links to all of these top stories. And now let's get to our top stories for the week, starting with our Stage 5 Sim Experience adventure.
This is the top story. This is all about our trip, and I mean, this is what makes our job so wonderful.
We had a blast, and one of the top, actually, we've been reading comments from our first blog of this adventure, which we've got a link to that. We just filmed some stuff on the full Stage 5 and the ACCUFORCE wheel that I've seen comments since we posted that blog that is one of the biggest stories in sim racing this year.
This month, this year, this decade, I think.
Yeah, the SIMXPERIENCE ACCUFORCE wheel, if you're not familiar, is gonna rival a Frex or an ECCI, and the guys at SIMXPERIENCE are making it, their quotes, bulletproof and to beat the competition.
And really to be readily available too.
Yep. So we had a blast meeting the guys at SIMXPERIENCE, Bernie Villers Jr., his brother Kevin Villers, Pat Dotson, who's been I've known in sim racing for a long time, and then Bernie's dad, Bernie Senior.
You know, I got to tell you something, and you know, we did the pieces, so there's plenty of stuff for you to go hear about the Stage 5 and the wheel and everything. Really, this is more about the trip and the people. And I mean, this is something about sim racing. We have relationships, people you might know on the phone or via email, or maybe just talking to them in race rooms.
You've been talking to Bernie a lot.
Like 18 months, we've been good friends, talking every other week or so on the phone for a couple hours, you know, and it's like, yeah, but when you get to meet these people in person, or the case like you, how long have you known Pat?
I've known Pat Dotson since '95, racing against him online.
I mean, it's like, you don't even know who these people are until you meet them in person. And time after time, we get to meet people, and they turn out to be even cooler in person than our relationships on the phone or via email are.
That was definitely the case this time. So check out all of our pieces on our experience. And I'd like to thank them again for being so hospitable and showing us a great time in their Stage 5 full motion simulator, checking out the ACCUFORCE wheel, the G seat created by Pat Dotson, and just the whole setup, man.
And hearing all the
Talk about
stories
sim
behind.
experience.
Yeah.
It is a sim experience.
It is, because it went way beyond the machinery or way beyond just the driving experience. But again, hearing the stories behind it all and getting to really hear how devoted people are to their babies, really.
Yep. So, next story, and our final story of the show, Mad Cowie. What'd you think? I sat down with Mad Cowie, interviewed him. Well, I didn't literally sit down with him, but sent him, I caught up with him on Skype and sent him a list of questions. Now, if you're sitting there going, who the heck, what are they talking about?
Right.
Mad Cowie. Mad Cowie is a guy named Stuart Cowie who, when a little bit after we started this show, created this really cool off-road truck mod called ORR. And it actually, guys ended up modding it eventually, but he made a ton of tracks for it. We used to race them with some of our old friends, Frosty St. Clair, and we actually have some shows or a segment on us racing those things.
Yeah.
So, what'd you think?
I thought it was a great interview or great questions, and so much stuff in that I had no clue about. I mean, because he's one of these people who started off as a modder and has turned this into a career that now has gone beyond sim racing.
Yeah, he's making tracks for a real world racing series that we weren't allowed to talk about, but he shared it with me behind the scenes, and he says he's just, you know, it's just like a dream come true.
That'd be like us taking this to a real job and working at ESPN or something.
Yeah. And, you know, he's basically uneducated. He was not educated to do this. I think he went to maybe a trade school to learn to code. But great guy. It was great to sit down with him virtually and talk about all the tracks he made. Worked for Sim Raceway for a while and developed some of the best looking tracks for that engine that I had seen. I had some pictures of Brands Hatch that he'd shown me, and Caldwell Park, I think, was the name of the other track. But anyway, I'd like to thank Stuart for Mad Cowie for taking the time out to answer those questions. We've got a link to that from our blog, and that was news from this week. If you've got a story to submit to us, email us at story@insidesimracing.tv, and maybe we'll add it to the blog, add it to our This Week show, or talk about it somewhere. Anything else before we go?
No, I like the format of the show. I like where we're going with things, and
give us your comments. You know, if you don't like this new format, you know, we're always trying to evolve, and people say, why don't you guys just stick with something? It's like, well, we're trying to do the best we can and get as much sim racing news to you guys as we can.
Well, and again, if you think about all the other different shows that we produce, they're all about very, very particular topics, you know, whether it be tech tips or a review. This is really the show that has always been about thought. I mean, when we first started doing this, way back when Kayla was the host of this show, it was about topics that people out there might want to talk about, and it would go beyond the show, hopefully.
Yeah, we never intended this week Inside Sim Racing to be a review show, so if you're looking for those, they're not going to happen here. We're going to keep the reviews separate so people can look for that particular topic. Speaking of reviews, we've got a review on this coming up. It's the Renovatio, I think I pronounced that right, SRD-9C display. I've already got it on my rig. I've been testing it out a little bit. Forza 5, we've got that coming up. Gran Turismo, that's going to be next month. A WRC4 review. Actually, got that sitting right here.
In the works.
We're working on that. Our F1 2013 review, running long. Man, every time I was ready to publish it, something new. I got Sim Vibe set up with it, so it's like I wanted to talk about that. Anyway, that's going to wrap up this week Inside Sim Racing. For Sean Cole, I'm Darren Ganji. We'll see you guys next week.